Right now we are at the 2014 Whitney Biennial and we are inside an installation done by Junie Figueroa. We have a dialogue ready table right here, so we're going to just talk about the biennial.
There was quite a few works by LGBTQ artists represented. Some of the works were more overtly queer than others, but all in all, a pretty good turnout for queer representation.
A.L. Steiner has an installation on the third floor of the Whitney Biennial, and as a large photographic installation, it's very cool. Zachary Drucker and Reese Ernst have been documenting their mutual transitions together as a couple, and it's really fantastic that just seeming really using photography to document one's life without it feeling performed over, underperformed, or just self-intrusive. Self-intrusion can be a way that artists sometimes internalize how we are viewed, but not to our own benefit. So I really wanted to see the Julie Alt works in the show. It's very difficult for me to categorize Julie Alt. She does a lot of things. She's a member of group material for a long time and the official archivist of group material.
First, when we walked into a room, I thought we were looking at a very, very dull video, but in fact what it was a tiny peephole on the wall in a dark room which allowed in light, and basically the entire room was a pinhole camera.
Great to feel the Zoe Leonard camera obscura in real time. It brings photography and the moving image back to their first relationship. All of our ideas about photography being about stillness and the still moment are really challenged by these older principles of how photography actually operates both in our eyes and initially at the beginning of when photography started to break away from traditions of drawing and painting.
There is always a handful of painting in the Whitney shows, always. And you're always going to see modernism. And modernism sometimes, to me, modernist painting sometimes looks very dated to me. So it's very hard to not have that bias when you approach a painting, but we were surprised, Patricia and I were both surprised to find Louise Fishman, who is a very important modernist female painter who worked at a time that women were really categorically just shunned from painting. And she has been an abstract expressionist for a very long time, and I know that she influenced so many younger generations, a lot of painters from the 80s who ended up going on to becoming famous, men and women, who were influenced by the way she handled paint, and even the beginnings of the subject coming back into abstraction. And we were pleasantly surprised to find that Donna Nelson was actually giving a little talk in front of a group of people who were on a tour of the biennial, we were assuming. So we tagged along, and Donna was explaining these two hanging paintings in which she painted on the back of the canvas. But because usually painters think about the surface and applying paint to a surface, but Donna was really working from the back and the front at the same time, so it was not prioritizing the hierarchy of the front versus the back. The back was as important to the overall image as the front was. I was really expecting to hate this biennial, and I had read a review that said only go to the fourth floor, forget everything else. I actually enjoyed the third floor and the second floor, and I believe that each curator took a floor and then they branched off and had other people curate within, so it was like curated within curate, nested curation basically. And there was a lot of little surprises. I think the problem people have with the Whitney overall is that it's an onslaught of art and it's just hard to take in at once. So you really have to kind of go bit by bit, very slowly, and double back. And in fact, Patricia, I think you said you were going to come back because you needed to reprocess.
So biennials, it's not about new work, it's about where American art is at. So it's all pieces that people have seen before, but With installation, you can see the same work in a different setting, in a different way, and it makes it more engaging to actually consider how works live, like out in the world and with us. So for me, I think because it felt like a much more interactive, driven process, both from a curatorial perspective and from a creative, and from the creative selections, it made it far more engaging for me.